welcome to our channel. And today we are going to talk about the storage account, but how to use the storage account as private. Instead, we have it public for the entire world be available to reach this storage account. So the idea today is have a storage account and make this storage account private, so then anyone around the world could not reach this storage account. But in our requirement here, we need to access this storage account from an on-premise environment and take advantage of the Azure Storage Explorer. That is a tool that you can install in your PC that help you to manage the data into this storage account. So in order to have it, we will be necessary a VPN. In our case here, it's a point to site, but if you think about a larger environment, could have an express route, a VPN site to site. But in our scenario here, we are going to use a point to site, just to have this integration between the on-premise, my computer, with the Azure cloud. And so then a blob container where you have our data based living there inside this blob container, and so then access it from on-premise environment. This is our requirement. So here I'm bringing to you an architecture in order to achieve these requirements. So here, as you can see, we are working on Azure cloud, and under this Azure cloud we are going to create a VNet, a virtual network, and this VNet will have three different subnets. The first subnet, it's be used by the private endpoint that you're going to create after have this storage account as private. This one is responsible to create this FQDN link. So then if you have a DNS, a private DNS zone, you must have a private DNS zone when you create a private endpoint. So then we'll have this private link that could be reached from the Azure cloud, or in our case, we want to reach this one from on-premise environment. So then this one is responsible to create this new link, this new FQDN that will be used to reach the storage account, in that case the blob container. But we are going to need a DNS to resolve this name. So then we are to take advantage here of the private resolver. Is a resource, a PaaS resource into the Azure cloud that help you to have this DNS translation. So then the private resolver responsible to have this DNS forward between Azure cloud and so then on-premise environment. Instead, you create a DNS forward in your virtual machine and configure a DNS forward in your Azure cloud. Microsoft has this resource that help you in order to have it. So then this one going to live in a different subnet. And also, and the last here but not the least, we have the VNet related to the VPN. So this VNet is just specific for the VPN to create this tunnel. And after create this private resolver, we are going to take this the IP that will be generated here and update our VNet with this to use custom DNS. So then now let's go to our hands-on and understand how to create this storage account, this blob container, how to configure it. You see here in the hands-on that I already have a VPN point site configured just to save our time, and I also have the VNet and subnet created. So then in our hands-on, we are going to create the storage account, the blob container, the way to have this DNS resolution, and so then do a demo, access the blob container from the on-premise computer. All right, so here in my Azure account, if I go here, navigate to the resource, as you can see here, I have three resources. Three of them is related or needed here, that it's a virtual network or VNet with three different subnets. Four in the case, yeah, the gateway subnet, the staged, and the inbound resolver. So okay, now we need to create a storage account. Firstly, I create this storage account. Uh, just before I create it, if you don't know how to create a storage account and you want to know a little bit more about the configurations related to the storage account, there is a video here in my channel that I give a briefing and introduce you the storage account. So then let's create here a storage account. I pick here the same resource group. I'll give it here hider test hider, then 1 2 3. I'll leave it in a West US 2. The redundancy here locally. Advanced. I will leave here. I left here. I'll leave here everything as standard, and also the network access, even though our requirement is to have it as disable or just for enable from select virtual networks and IP address. But our requirement here is disable it and just work as private access. But for now, I'll leave it as public. I will review it, create it. In this meantime that it's validating, you can see here that I have the Azure Storage Explorer installed. In that one here is the one that we are going to connect into the Azure, into our Azure account, and so then take advantage of this tool to connecting the storage accounts, disks, whatever that is related disks. It's a pretty good tool. It's helpful to manage and to handle with the files that live in the storage account. And you also could give this access some privilege based on the groups, based on you could take advantage of the ACL permissions in the storage account, and so then create a structure and a way to provide some data information through the Azure Storage Explorer. So here we go. We already have here created our storage account. As you can see here, this is storage account. If you go here to the containers, there isn't any container, but because this one, if you go here to the network, because this one it's enabled for all networks, there isn't any private endpoint or custom DNS configured. I can go here in the containers and so then create a new container. I will create a container called hider. So then, as you can see, it's created. I can access it. I can upload anything from here. And if I go here and connect into the Azure, you see that I can connect there and manage whatever I want here. So just a few seconds, just waiting for authentication. Okay, here we go. Now if you go here, you see that I have here my storage account. Our storage account is just created, and if you go to the blob containers, you see that I have the blob container. And if you open here your prompt command and do ns lookup for this storage account that we created. Let me refresh here. Either if you go here into the properties, what is it? Settings, endpoint is, if you pick this name here and do IMS lookup, you see there is a public IP. Alright, so let's make it private. So then how you can make it private? You have to go here the storage account, and so then here in the security networking, you click on here, and so then you can disable it here. If you just put in that way, you could be adding here your public IP, but it's not the case. Or even though a virtual network, you want to disable it, and so then I will disable it, and you see that I will not available to navigate to the container explorer, the containers here. If I try to connect into this container, you see I'm not authorized. Okay, and now, and even if I go here in the Azure Explorer, Storage Explorer, if I refresh it and try to connect in the container, you see we are not allowed to do that. So one of the way that we have to work in this way here, it's creating a private endpoint. So then firstly I go here in the network again, and here in the private endpoint I will create a private endpoint. I leave it in the same one. I will call it private endpoint storage hider. In the WSUS2, the resource, you must select here what is the kind of the resource that you want to connect. Is a blob. If you have a table, queue, file, web, DFS, you have to create one by one. Yeah, it is not a generic one here. And so then, what is the subnet? You see we have 3 subnets compatible here, but as we design it in our architecture, we want to use the STG subnet, which could be a dynamic way to allocate IPs. We do not want any application security group here in that case, but we want the DNS for sure. So here it's integrated with the private DNS zone. If you already had anyone created, you could pick this one, but we doesn't have one here. So now we are going to create it. And now we will have a private endpoint. But what are you do? I try to connect in the VPN. I already have configured the VPN. It's here. So then I'm going to connect into this one. It's connected. Even though if I try to do an lookup again, now you see I'm passing through the VPN, so I'm connecting into our Azure network structure there, and I couldn't resolve this name here. Yeah, you see, because you are connecting to the VPN. But let's finish this private endpoint configuration, and we will try to connect using the Azure Storage Explorer. Just more few seconds and it will be finished. Okay, we are back. I just paused the video because it took a little bit more time than expected. So now we have here our private endpoint created. Let's go there and understand how it's configured after creating this private endpoint. So then, turning back here to the storage account, if you go here to the networking and look here, we are disabled, and here we have a private endpoint. If you click on this private endpoint, you see there is a DNS configuration here. In this DNS configuration, we have a FKDN. This FKDN that's going to be used to be reached, and the private reserve is going to look for this configuration here in order to translate the name, the resolution name. But even though if you try to do a NS lookup here, you see there is nothing. It's not being resolved. And even with that configured, that is the trick, guys. Even with that configured, you could think, okay, now I have a private endpoint and I'm connecting the VPN in the same virtual network, in the same VNet. So now I could be, now I'm available, have permission to go here in the container and open the container again. But here you go, we are not, because there isn't any DNS doing this translation right now. So in order to fix it, a way that you have here is create a DNS private resolver, and as mentioned here, the Azure DNS private resolver creates on-prem DNS namespace with private zones hosted on DNS. But this also can resolve DNS queries from on-premise networks and do conditional forwards to on-premises. Here, the way that we are using a virtual machine. We are using a notebook, a computer that is in an on-premise environment. But even though if you are here in if you had here another resource into the Azure, you could take advantage of this the private endpoint, yeah, without the needs of the private resolver. So now let's create here a private resolver and see how we can create it in order to resolve it. Let's give it here a private resolver DNS demo. This point is very important. The region here must be the same region of your virtual network. So then our virtual network, it's living in a West US 2, the private reserve must be the same region. Otherwise, it will be not possible to have this configuration. So then you see here, there is our virtual network. And so then here in the endpoint, you are going to create an endpoint. Let's create here inbound DNS and pick a subnet for that. We don't need here right now outbound endpoint or rule set. There are another kind of configuration. It's not up to us right now. What is interest right now for us is this inbound endpoint here. So now let's wait this creation be finished. Okay, we have here now our private resolver created. Let's go there and see what we have. So we have here our private resolver, and remember that we just created an bound endpoint. That's this IP here is short of our DNS resolver. So then I grab this name, this IP here, and so then update our virtual network. So then I go here to the storage account. The storage account, I'll navigate to the security networking. Here in the private endpoint, okay, what is the virtual network is that one. And so here in the virtual network there is the DNS server. Instead of being using the default one, I'm going to use the private resolver in order to resolve those DNSs internally and do this DNS forward for on-premise purposes. Okay, now I save it. If I go here to the Azure Storage Explorer, refresh it, you see that now we can navigate through the blob containers. Just because we have a private endpoint configured, and you see now if I want to create a folder here, I can create it and file into this folder just to be sure that it's working. I upload here our architecture design. You see how it's simple to manage the data in a storage account, in that case in a blob container. We have here, if you click on here, it's going to download and open it for you. It's a simple way, easy way, and very helpful way to be using. And even though if you go here in the storage account itself, containers, now you can see here the folder we created and the file also lives here. And that's it, guys, the way that you could have your storage account as private using private endpoint and DNS resolver. Thank you for your time. Cheers.